Joe Baker.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Ms. Baker, you're charged with assault of a family member. You're facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. You're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present if you cannot afford one. One will be appointed to you, ma'am.
On September 2nd, 2024, law enforcement officers were dispatched to a disturbance at a residence. The complainant stated that he was in the bedroom asleep until he was awakened by his hair being pulled, stating that he felt pain. The complainant stated that the defendant was on top of him while he was in the bed. The complainant also stated that the defendant began striking, scratching, and pulling on his hair with her hands, causing pain. The law enforcement officer observed several red scratch marks on the complainant's chest, rib, and lower stomach area, along with redness and bruising on his left arm near the armpit area. The complainant and the defendant in this case are dating with 4 children.
She has a prior aggravated assault against the same person, I see. What happened in that case? Is she knife, gun?
Looks like car and knife. The defendant attempted to run the complainant over, went inside the apartment, grabbed a knife, pointed at the complainant, slashed the knife across his left arm, sustained minor cuts.
Well,
Complainant sustained minor cuts.
Ms. Baker, I'm finding there's probable cause to go forward with the case. I'm now ordering you not to have any contact with this person whatsoever. Do you understand? I don't care that you have kids. You have a prior aggravated assault with this guy where you slashed him with a knife. No more contact with this person. Do you understand? I'm entering in what's called, well, let me see if there's a protective order already in place. There is. On the 3rd of this month, a protective order was issued in this case. I suggest you get to know it because if you violate this protective order, the state can and will file additional charges. And then I'm telling you now, with your prior aggravated assault, if I find that you try to have contact with this person, I'm going to make your bond so high, you're going to spontaneously combust. Do you understand, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Are you still living in the same place? Have you moved out?
We've been together 10 years. I have 4 kids. What she's reading is not what happened.
I know that there's 2 sides to the story, ma'am, but what scares me is that your trigger temper is what scares me. I get that there's another side to the story, and I get that you may have issues as well. And I don't know what happened to Garner, what happened in this case, but what I'm trying to do is keep you guys separated so that it doesn't escalate to something more serious. I see that you do work. You have 4 kids. Do you have custody of the kids now? Who has possession of the kids?
We've been together 10 years. We stay together. We share a car together. I work 7 days. He works 6 days.
Yeah, I'm not giving you, no, you cannot have contact with this person. I'm trying to decide whether to give you a lawyer, ma'am. That's why I'm asking this, because I know that you have 4 kids and it's probably really tough and expensive as it is. Would you like to apply for an appointed lawyer, ma'am? Your other option is you can go hire one.
I don't have money for a lawyer.
Ma'am, I'm offering it to you now. I mean, I get it that, I'm trying to alleviate the stress on you now because I know that with the stress of having this case, number one, the stress of having 4 kids and then having to go out and hire a lawyer when money's tight, it adds just unneeded stress, and I'm trying to help you out with that. Stephen, do you mind giving an application, please? I'm going to give you an application now. Or you know what? Actually, I already have it, so don't even worry about it. I'm going to have you sign a reset with Victoria. After that, I'm going to have you take a seat in the jury box. I'll get your bond conditions. I'm going to ask you, ma'am, we need you to sign these bond conditions. After that, I'll find you a lawyer to speak to. Okay? Please. Yeah, no contact, no weapons for now. Thank you so much for coming. she's charged with the assault, and it worries me putting you guys together because I don't want you to get the brunt of the attack every time things get hot, anytime she gets upset, and it scares me. And initially, I didn't want to do, I wanted to do a no contact order, but at the end of the day, who suffers the most? Right. The kids are the ones that suffer because kids need their mom. These are things that you have to consider. The other thing that you have to consider is this, is that, you know what? The kids are like flowers, and they need love, they need nurturing, they need guidance. And if they see violence in a house, they're going to think it's okay. That child, instead of being a flower and growing the beautiful petals, it's going to grow sideways and backwards. Just kids emulate mothers and fathers. And if they see the fighting, if they see the knives, if they see they're going to do the exact same thing and they're going to think it's okay. That's why we have so much violence. So my question is this, is that what are we going to do next time you get upset? Because it's going to happen. You can't say you're not going to get upset. How do we handle it so that there's no more violence?
How can we fight?
And the thing, ma'am, Miss Baker, if you deny it, that's probably about the worst thing because you have to confront it. You have to do it head on because that's how it stops. And that's how you cure it. You confront it head on, you recognize it, and you say, look, kids suck. They're so freaking hard. They're expensive. They argue. They stink. Kids suck. And they're really difficult. But when you treat them right, they come back and they pay it forward to you tenfold because someone's got to take care of you when you're old. And if they hate you because you acted like an a-hole when they were kids, they're never going to be there for you. That's why you treat them with love and respect now for the future. Because I'll tell you what, when you have a kid and when they when they get to their teenage years and they see the way you've been, they're going to bring it back to you tenfold. And hell has no fury like an 18-year-old that's hell on wheels because they can make your life a living hell. And you think it's bad now? That you see the guy in Georgia, the guy that bought the kid the gun and shut up all those people in the school. What do you think they did? Now in today's society, they're not just going after kids. They're going after parents who are unable to recognize how dangerous their children are. The kid in the Santa Fe that gunned down all those people now over there, Dimitri Prigozis or something. All those families came back and sued the parents for letting him have access to a gun. So now what I'm trying to impart to you is that if you are unable to control yourself and your kids become like you and they go out there and create a public danger, all those people, they're not going to come after you. And you think it's expensive, you think it sucks now, wait till that happens. Are you okay with contact?
Yes.
How can we handle and what do we do if you guys start butting heads again? What are we supposed to do so that she doesn't pick up a new? I'm going to tell you, you pick up a new case. How do we handle it?
I think it's just a misunderstanding.
It's not, though. They're choices. A misunderstanding, a mistake is I left my umbrella at home, even though I knew it was going to rain. I left my glass case here at home and I didn't bring it home. That's a mistake. These are choices. They're not mistakes. They're not misunderstandings. They're choices. And they're bad choices because you're here when you don't want to be here. You're spending money that you already don't have. I'm okay with you having contact, Ms. Baker, with him. But before that happens, I need to know that we have a plan in place in the event that you get upset, so that either the kids don't get it, or importantly, he doesn't get it either. You need to come up with something for me, showing me how we're going to handle if times get stressful. And we have to figure something out. Just saying, I don't know what I'm going to do, that's not, we need a game plan. You know, perhaps you start doing.
Hey everybody, I'm just gonna jump in real quick. This fella right here, this Glitter. Whenever I first started my channel, that was the first person. Here, I'll throw that up. This was one of the first person that was commenting on my videos, and I greatly appreciate it. It's neat to see names show back up like that. Thank you everybody for being there. Let's jump back into the video.
Anger management classes at home on your own, so you can learn how to cope with the anger. That would be something. I don't know.
Exercise, very spiritual.
Exercise is great. I run my happy ass 4 miles every day because I have 4 kids too, and my kids are really difficult. And it would really be easy for me to beat them into submission. But for me to work my aggression out, I run every single day.
Is it easy? No. Do I like it? No, I don't. But do I do it? Yeah, I do.
No, and I get it, but here's what I would like. I think that we should do some kind of online anger management class 3 times a week. Okay?
Yes, sir.
And then as long as you can do that, then I'll allow you guys to have contact. No threatening, harassing, or abusive contact. You need to understand what is threatening or harassing. It's not what you think. I could care less what you think. It's how he perceives. So can conduct alone, if I go like this, is that threatening, harassing? It is. And it can violate this quarter. So you okay with it? There is still a protective order in place. So she cannot threaten, harass, anything. If she does, she goes back into custody. All right, so we'll do 30 days.
Yes, sir.
And I want you to do anger management 3 times a week online.
Is it a time for it?
No.
No, okay.
But just, I want a sheet of paper written down showing, date, time, where you did it, so that we can verify it. And I want a daily log of it 3 times a week that you've done anger management classes. And as long as you can do that, then we will allow contact. And then I'm going to have Mr. D get it to me. And I'm telling you now, if you don't, because I'm making that a condition of your bond, I'm going to revoke your bond. Okay. All right, Mr. D.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Your Honor.
It's funny to see stuff that I used to do on the channel. It's funny to see stuff that I used to do, and I do it for about a week or so, and then I switch over to something different. We're going to do a couple of Dennis Fleisch ones today. We're going to do a lot of the old ones. At the end of the show, I'm going to go through a meeting that the Harris County Child Lawyers Association had about Judge Fleischer, and I'm just going to go through and play some clips out of it and give my opinions on it. Something I'm not used to doing, something I'm not real comfortable in doing, but something I kind of this week's got me in the mood to do. So we're going to do that. Here's one it's called 19 Violations. Let's see where we go there.
Court, you've been with me for as long as we.
Mr. Nayland is in Cancun until Monday of next week, Judge, so he's not available this morning.
I
So I'm kind
understand.
of filling in. I have had a chance to look at this violation report regarding Miss Blows. I'm assuming that's our issue here today. Spoken with Mr. Jones about that. Pressed upon him the need for perfection here.
This is no tolerance. Absolutely no tolerance, because we've had one issue after the other. Testing positive for here, doing that over there. We've literally let you go over and over and over. And there's absolutely no excuse for the missed blows. How many missed blows do we have?
Says 19, Your Honor. That's 7, within that 7 are included. But Judge, I would ask if possible, as I'm not the lead on this case, and I know Dustin has had history with the court and Mr. Jones here on this case, if you would consider holding on the consideration of this matter until he returns on Tuesday of next week. So that he can
I'm
hear-
sorry, Ben, I can't. I have to know, you have to know that we mean business. I'm not here to toy with you and play games with you. Know what the expectation is in this court. You've been with me for as long as we've had. You're over there.
Because I have a cold, y'all, cold weather. I apologize. So can I please speak on the breathalyzer?
No.
Just
You
told me
know
that
what
last
the expectation is. You have 19 missed tests. That's it. I'm sorry, Ben, I can't. You're here in his stead. You're a capable and outstanding lawyer. I have the utmost respect for you, but 19 missed tests are 19 missed tests. And I've been telling him since the absolute beginning, there's just no tolerance.
Please,
I
No.
understand, Judge, and
It's you.
but to his credit, Your Honor, we have no positive UAs. He's been here on weekly UAs, so there's no indication that he's using this to obfuscate, for
I
alcohol. or
go to
anything.
sleep early, man.
Test. And he is blowing outside the window, so we don't know what he's doing.
My God, sir, I go to sleep at 8 o'clock every night, sir. It's just the 10 o'clock ones, and I get my 5 o'clock one first thing in the morning, Your Honor.
Then you come here and you ask.
Oh, they just told me about this last week in pre-trial over there, and they said
What's
that I
with
had
you?
the 45-day miss.
You have 19 missed blows, dude. Covering the camera.
Please, Honor, I will do
Something.
anything. I'll even go on that drug, Anklemon. I'll do anything, Your Honor. I'm really trying here. I swear to God, I'll do anything you want me to do if you just please let me stay free. I swear to God, Your Honor, I'm really trying here. Please, Your Honor, it's just, I don't even drink.
From the 15th of November, you have been skipping tests. You have been to this court.
I go to sleep at 10 o'clock and I still did the ones later on when I do wake up. And they told me this just last week, Your Honor. I swear to God. I swear on everything I love.
You know
Please give me a chance, Your Honor.
testing schedule is, and I've given you one
I started
pass
doing all-
after the other. He goes with you. No,
Oh my God.
Your Honor, may we discuss setting a new bond for?
of course.
Oh my gosh. Your Honor. Why? Please, I'm trying here. I'm trying to do everything.
Goes with you.
Oh my gosh.
Bond is at 5,001 now because of the prior violations. I will now set it at 10,002. I'm sorry, Ben, but he's tested positive literally over and over and over. He continues to test positive for marijuana. When I've told him to stop, he's tested positive for opiates. He's tested positive for this. Now he's skipping blows. He has obscured the camera as well?
It's not necessarily that he's obscured the camera, but it's too dark to view. It doesn't mean that there's.
It's the same thing. If we can't see you in the camera,
Yes, sir.
then you're fooling. And I'm done with the fooling. That's it. I know that Dustin's gonna be pissed, but I mean, I've got it in black and white. And Dustin knows that it's no tolerance.
Consider 7502, Judge, for bond.
Okay, Ben. Okay, great. But he has to know that we mean business, man. If I let him go now, I'm enabling, and I'm not gonna do that. I can't, but fine. Because. Fine. All right, 7502. Hi, Dan.
Judge, this is a case where she's working on her GED. Now she is, it's taking a long time because,
Coriel Dixon, come up.
and Judge, just really quick, I spoke with the prosecutor about an alternative BTI.
No, she got to get her GED, dude.
She's working on it. She's doing the classes.
Let's see.
She sent me an email from, one of
If
the.
anything, have you done for your GED?
And what I did for it,
What have you done?
I went to a class and then I tried to go yesterday. They canceled it and he also,
You went the day before court.
and I also went before.
Judge, she's been going. She's been going before even the last court date, and we
Prove it.
I can text you.
In this life, you are only as good as the proof that you don't have. If you don't have proof, you have nothing. Spoken word means absolutely nothing.
Judge, the instructor, I got an email from him that she sent me saying that she's been going to the classes and that class was canceled on the 4th yesterday. But she did, attempt to go to class. So she's been going, she did already take a test, and this is one where she did fail the first test. So she's been working on it. It's not enough.
I mean, here we are. How many resets have we had? We've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 resets since May. You're now in December. You have had 5 to 6 months. Show me the money. Otherwise, it's not going to go well for you today, Ms. Dixon. Show me. 5 to 6 months.
And Judge, this was a case where she was paying for the classes, and then she had to then enroll into the free program, which she's been doing for the last little bit.
Are you playing Candy Crush? What's going on over there?
I'm trying to text her.
Texting who?
The instructor, like what I'm supposed to show you. Cause I don't have no proof, like I don't have nothing.
Tell
that
me
I can-
what have you done?
I went to the class,
Okay, which class did you go
the
to?
GED resource.
Okay, and because the way I understand it, there are different modules that you do. You do science, you do language arts, you do math, you do, and whatever else it may be. You go through each section, you complete it, take a test, and then when you're done with everything, you take an overall test, and then you get a diploma.
That's not.
What have you done?
Basically explaining on how everything's gonna go, and I was gonna finish everything else Wednesday when I was gonna go, but the class was canceled.
Who is the provider that you have?
His name is,
Grab me a phone number, because I'd like to call them right now.
I have a number for you, Judge.
And go ahead and put this on.
Oh, yeah. Charles Jackson.
Mr. Jackson? Yes, my name is David Fleischer. I'm a judge here in Harris County. And I have someone that's with me in our court, and she's doing a program with you guys to try to get a GED. I'd like to confirm that's Coriel Dixon. So Wednesday and Thursday, and then did you say every other Saturday? Okay. And then, so how does it work as far as getting the diploma? Do you do different classes as far as science, math, and how do you at the end get it? Can I put you, I have her in front of me. Can I put you on speakerphone so that she can hear this as well? Do you mind? Okay, hold on. So I've got him. Okay,
Hello?
Mr. Jackson?
Order in the court, please.
Okay, tell me, how goes it?
So, yeah, it's kind of twofold. They take an assessment. Based on that assessment, allows me to know where the student is as far as their grade level in math and in reading. Based on that, they go on 2 tracks. And so one track is like a basic education where we're just literally working on kind of some elementary reading and math skills.
Okay.
Or a GED track where they're ready for GED content. And so, yeah, and I usually just, go from there. I work with my GED students individually. And
how long does the process take? And how long can we expect it?
Well, so that's honestly kind of a loaded question, depending on where they fall. I believe Coriel scored pretty well.
Great.
So yeah, and I've worked with people that have gotten the GED in 3 weeks. I've worked with people that have gotten the GED in 2 years.
Oh, yeah. I can't do 3 years. That's too much.
Well,
I know, I'm kidding.
No, I understand that.
She's been faithfully attending though. Yay or nay?
Yes.
Okay, great.
And with some consistency, 3 to 4 months, maybe less.
That sounds great.
That's just me ballparking.
I'd like to stick with it because I think at the end of the game, our goal here is that she ends with that diploma. And I think that would be a win for everybody. I'm basically calling you. I want to make sure that everything's going well, that she's attending, faithfully attending and doing well. And it sounds like you're saying that this is what's been happening.
Yes.
Great. Okay, so I'm just going to continue everything. Just continue to go, Miss Dixon. I mean, you got like what he's saying. If you continue at it 2 to 3 months, you'll end up with your diploma. Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Jackson. I really appreciate your help. You've been great.
No problem, Judge. You take
Okay.
care.
You too. Thank you, sir. Bye. Great. Good job. Just keep at it. Okay. So let's set it 30 days. I want to ride this through. You're so close to being through. All you got to do is see it to the end, and then everything great will happen for you here as well. Okay. All right. Good job. All right.
All right, I'll throw that up there and see if I can't talk without hitting the mute button. Uh, I get asked a lot this week, what do I know about what happened with Judge Fleischer? All I know is that he's not streaming right now. The word I got was he's not streaming anymore. That was the words that was used. But do I believe it? No. I believe that right now it's just a roadblock. I believe he's got to find the way to manage it. Um, I believe that Judge Fleischer is bringing a lot to transparency in courtrooms, and I think that scares some people. I think some people are just they're too stuck in their old ways. You got the good old boy club, and you just have the people that are just used to tradition. They're used to having the closed doors, and that's a comfort zone for us. I don't like people to watch me work, and I assume there's some people that don't like to watch them work. So, Corinda brings up a great thing. Happy Mother's Day to everyone. If you don't have a mother, you know a mother. So make sure to be thankful to it and just be nice to people. Um, Eileen, you're really close to what I think is going wrong. I think a lot of the creators are creating clickbait titles and just being mean. And there's no rules against being mean. You can you can be just as mean as you want, and so that's where that goes. But until then, we're gonna play some of the older clips. I think on Monday, I think we're gonna do a best of on Judge Fleischer. Um, yeah, I think on Monday we're gonna do a best of. and see what we can't do. See if we can't come up with something. If you guys got some judges that you want to see live, throw them up there. In the end, whenever we were doing Judge Fleischer, that was kind of a one thing, but we want to kind of keep the community going and see where we can go with it. So we're gonna jump to another old Judge Fleischer clip, and then we'll get to the we'll get to that meeting I want to cut through. So here we go.
He entered halfway into the shoulder and then jerked back into the lane. After
Under a $4,000 fine, we are going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Hey, senor, hat off. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you, sir.
Yes, Judge.
Okay.
On December 28, 2024, the officer came to a stop behind the defendant's vehicle, and the light turned green, and the defendant's motor vehicle proceeded, and the defendant's vehicle immediately drifted approximately halfway onto the shoulder with other motor vehicles around it before the driver jerked back into the lane. Traffic stop was then initiated, and the officer made contact with the defendant, the driver, and sole occupant of the vehicle. The officer observed slurred speech, bloodshot eyes, unsteadiness on feet, and an odor of an alcoholic beverage. The defendant admitted to consuming one alcoholic beverage, and standard sobriety tests were administered. HGN 6 out of 6. The walk and turn on one leg stand could not be performed due to the defendant complaining of leg pain. The defendant was read the DIC and consented to breath. The result was 0.192. However, the defendant was unable to provide a second sample and consented to a blood draw.
Mr. Allen, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with your case. Does he have a license?
It's eligible, Your Honor.
All right. How many prior DWIs does he have?
He has one prior, Your Honor.
One? Okay. Mr. Allen, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with your case, and I'm ordering you as a condition of your bond not to consume alcohol, illegal drugs, or unprescribed controlled medication. You have a valid license. You cannot drive unless you also have valid liability insurance in your name, and I'm now placing a restriction on your license that you are not allowed to drive any vehicle that doesn't have an ignition interlock on it. If you're caught driving a vehicle that doesn't have an interlock, I will revoke your bond, put you in jail. Do you understand? I'm sending word and notice to DPS so that every police officer in the state is going to know if you get pulled over and you're driving a vehicle that doesn't have an interlock, they're going to arrest you on the spot. Do you understand? I see that you have a lawyer. Because you have a lawyer, I will waive your appearance, but you must stay in touch with Mr. Stewart and he will tell you when you have to come back to court. You don't have to waste your time coming back here, but you must stay in touch with counsel and he'll tell you when you have to come back. You understand?
So I need to wait for him now?
We're going to have you wait for him now, but after today, I'm going to waive your appearance so you don't have to waste your time. We'll just have you work and do your life while we get evidence, or while he gets evidence to work the case up.
Wait for him.
Right. I'm going to have you sign a reset. I'll have you meet with Felicia for bond conditions, and we'll just have you waiting back for Mr. Stewart to show. Okay? Please. You ready?
Yes.
Come on up.
Good morning.
Hey, how are you? Mr. Stewart, what's new?
Sir, how was your New Year?
Great. We did PC on your case.
Okay.
We just did stand. What's your guy's name again?
My last name is Allen, Your Honor. I would like to make an argument on PC. I don't know whether.
Absolutely. I'm always ready to hear. So refresh my memory. What happened?
So in Allen's case, it was where the officer came to a stop behind the defendant's vehicle and the light turned green. The defendant,
But he had expired registration, right?
No, Your Honor. In this case, the defendant's vehicle proceeded through the green light and immediately drifted approximately halfway onto the shoulder with other vehicles around it and then jerked back into the lane.
Were there any other vehicles around when this happened?
Yes, the officer explicitly wrote there were other vehicles around the vehicle before the driver jerked back in the lane. So he went into the shoulder and there were other vehicles.
Go ahead.
Yes, sir. My argument is, Your Honor, that, as far as what's actually alleged, says the light turned green and the truck along with several other vehicles proceeded, which obviously is in compliance with the law. The only argument that the state has made here, elucidated, is that they observed a Silverado drift into the shoulder with other vehicles around it. If he's drifting into the shoulder, that's not endangering any other vehicle. That's not an allegation of the safety of anybody else out there on the roadway. The shoulder is away from any other vehicles. Maybe he's doing this in an abundance of caution. There's no indication that it was dangerous or endangered any other vehicle, anything like that within the allegations here. Furthermore, there's numerous reasons why a vehicle is 100% legally allowed to drive in the right-hand shoulder of a vehicle. I think there's 9 reasons in the state of Texas why a vehicle is allowed to drive in the shoulder. There's nothing here that alleges that basically he committed any sort of crime that would lead the officer to then stop him. This is insufficient information, and I would argue that there's not valid probable cause here on this case.
I think he has a valid point where, perhaps he's, well, I mean, I don't want to speculate, and you're saying, well, maybe he did it because of this, but I don't want to speculate, right? Because were there other cars? I don't know. Was it dangerous? I don't know. I mean,
Judge, but failure to maintain a single lane when there are other vehicles within the vicinity is a valid reason for a stop.
right, but you got to articulate facts as well, right? So according to the statute.
Right, and I understand because we've had this issue before where it's failure to maintain a single lane, but we're unsure if there's other vehicles. That I can appreciate and understand. But in this case, the officer did specify that there were other vehicles in the vicinity. And under Texas law, that is sufficient for a stop.
I disagree. I think that when we look at the statute for failure to maintain a single lane, the second half of the statute is that it endangered somebody. And there's no indication here that there was any danger.
Was it 545.460? Isn't that it?
Fleming, yeah, Fleming, Hardin.
545.060, Your Honor. Section A2, may not move from the lane unless that movement can be made safely. Shall drive as nearly as practical entirely within a single lane, and 2, may not move from the lane unless that movement can be made safely. There's no allegation here that the movement was made unsafely. Or that there was anything unsafe.
I also have the list of, where under Texas law where it's permissible to drive on the shoulder, to stop, stand, or park, to accelerate before entering the main lane of traffic, to decelerate.
Let's do this. I mean, this is going to take quite a bit of more time. So can you come back? Do you have anywhere else to go?
Oh, yeah.
Let me go through the arraignments, get everybody done and out of here, and then because this is going to take quite a bit more time.
Yes, sir.
Right? And give you time to take a look more so if you need to, you too as well, if you want to try to find a case law. Let me just go through because I have another lawyer that's waiting,
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll help you out, but let me get through everything. Yeah, for sure.
Just the sheriff's prosecutor have a discussion. I wanted to speak to that.
Yeah. If we may, upon reviewing case law, so as we've discussed before, so he did veer into the shoulder and then go back onto the lane. And in Hardin, failing to maintain a single lane with the added vehicle component is the danger that they provided in the case law that makes failing to maintain a single lane, unlawful. Furthermore, in cases such as Lamming and Martinez, the court added additional factors to consider for the officer into determining whether or not failing to maintain a single lane is unlawful. And one of those is the time component. In Martinez, it was at midnight or at 1 o'clock in the morning. Here it was midnight as well.
No, but one of the things is there's an element of unsafetyness, right?
Yes, and Your Honor, there are other vehicles around. As the officer articulated in the dims, there are other vehicles around when he veered and then jerked back into the lane, as the officer put in the dims.
But I get it. But where are the other vehicles? Are they next to him? Are they in front? Are they in back? He doesn't articulate it. All he says is there are other vehicles.
And furthermore, Your Honor, he did articulate into the shoulder. And upon looking at the statute for that, the Court of Appeals in Lothrop v. State articulated that there are 7 permissible reasons to go onto the shoulder. And there is reasonable suspicion to perform a traffic stop where there is not one of those permissible reasons. And here, the officer did not, with those other vehicles saying he passed the green light and then go halfway into the shoulder and then jerk back, it implies that there is not one of those 7 reasons to allow another car to pass, to stop or park, or to accelerate before entering the main lane of traffic or decelerate before making a right turn. None of those are present. None of the 7 reasons articulated in the statute on the Transportation Code 545.058 are present. So that alone, him going into the shoulder without a permissible reason, is enough to perform the traffic stop. And that taking that into account with Hardin, which he failed to maintain a single lane with other vehicles around, provided enough of a community danger to allow the officer to perform that initial stop.
Man,
Where's the danger?
It would be the other vehicles present, Your Honor.
He doesn't articulate that though.
He does articulate that there are other vehicles.
All he says is there are other vehicles.
That is all the case law requires. He doesn't have to say there's a vehicle right in front and right next to him. The case law requires that there be other vehicles within the vicinity for it to be.
Right. In the case law.
You don't know if it's in the vicinity though. All he says is there are other vehicles. That's so vague. You say other vehicles in the vicinity. He doesn't say that they're in the vicinity. He just says there are other vehicles. And that's so vague and conclusory.
And Your Honor, the case law does specify there only needs to be a minimal level of justification for the stop. In this case, that is enough for there's other vehicles around to provide that additional threshold for failing to maintain a single lane. In addition to no permissible reason to enter the shoulder, there's nothing there to indicate
Right.
there is a permissible reason.
If we're taking outside of the failure to maintain a single lane, and we can go into the other part of the transportation code that this defendant violated, which is veering onto the shoulder, he did not do so for one of the 7 permissible reasons, and thus the officer has reasonable suspicion to stop him.
You're veering. That is 545.060, right? Isn't that part of that's the weaving, right?
It's a different one.
Because you just said there's another violation of the transportation code.
Yeah, and it's under 545.058 is for entering the shoulder.
Right.
may I address the court, please, Your Honor?
Hold on, let me pull that code up. So that's
545.058.
The transportation code.
All right, let's see. That is driving on an improved shoulder. An operator may drive on an improved shoulder to the right of the main traveled portion of a roadway if that operation is necessary and may be done safely, but only if to stop, stand, or park, to accelerate before entering a main travel lane of traffic, to decelerate before making a right turn, to avoid a collision as permitted by an official traffic device. Okay.
Yes, Your Honor. So in terms of their arguments about the driving on the shoulder under Lothrop, their case that they're citing, the case itself says, and I quote, merely driving on an improved shoulder is not prima facie evidence of an offense. That's their case. It says the exact, that doesn't benefit them at all. In terms of Hardin, their own case, based on our review of the record and precedent, we conclude that the detaining officer did not have reasonable suspicion to stop Applee for violating Transportation Code Section 545.060. Again, that's their case. And in that one, that's where the vehicle's tires crossed over the fog line, just as in our case, into the shoulder. And in their own case, it says that was not reasonable suspicion. And so, you know, I would like to, you know, highlight these two cases because I think they're directly on point. I don't know why the state did. In terms of State v. Hernandez, which is 2016 out of the 4th Court of Appeals, and I have the appellate case number, but I don't have the specific site.
My only concern is there an element of unsafetyness? That's all I want to know.
To just address one point briefly, in the case Lothrop, they do say that really on an improved shoulder is not prima facie case evidence of an offense. However, if it states explicitly that the offense of illegally driving on an improved shoulder can be proven in one of two ways, either driving on an improved shoulder was not necessary part of achieving one of the 7 approved purposes which are articulated in the statute, or that it could not have been done safely. And here, we're again going back to the 7 articulated purposes in the statute that are not present here. He entered halfway into the shoulder and then jerked back into the lane. After previously having just gone through a green light. So there's no indication that he's allowing a vehicle to pass or anything like that. He went through a green light, entered the shoulder, and then jerked back.
So by your theory, then, any single person that ever drives a mere nanosecond to the right of an improved shoulder is now violating this offense, this transportation code.
He wasn't just
law can't be like that.
It wasn't just announced. He went halfway in. So he veered halfway into the shoulder. It wasn't just like a little deviation. He said, the officer said halfway into the shoulder and then jerked back into the lane. So he went out and then came back into the lane.
So are we supposing that that's like half a second of driving on an improved shoulder? Is it 1 second? Is Is it a minute? Is it?
I'm sure it should matter. I mean,
Because the legislature articulated 7 specific reasons why that would be permissible, and they wouldn't have.
If an old grandmother who is 70 years old is driving on a freeway and accidentally,
And but that would provide the minimal justification just to perform an investigative, a stop, just to investigate. It wouldn't be an arrest or anything like that. It would just be the traffic stop would be allowed at that point.
I don't know. I don't think that the officer wrote enough in the report. I don't think that the unsafetiness as far as, saying that there are other cars around. I just don't think that there's enough.
Yes,
Right.
Judge.
I'll find no probable cause.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, yeah, Jay, Josh, I agree with it. These are the best of the PC discussions. Because Judge Fleischer doesn't just automatically find probable cause with everything. I'm sure a lot of the other judges they've either read about it or they heard about the cases before, and so they're able to put it together quick. In Florida, they don't even talk about the probable cause. The judge just says, "Yep, I've read it. I've found probable cause, and this is how you go." So there, we're going to jump into Harris County Trial Lawyers Association. In January, they decided to have a discussion about Judge Fleischer. And as I was cutting up the clips today, I thought about it, and I was like, you know what? I kind of just wanted to show Judge Fleischer instead of showing that because I don't really feel that really added to the conversation. But I think it's important to see how this group thinks and how this group thinks of us. I think we come from all different parts of the world. We come from all different lines of thinking, and we all come together watching Judge Fleischer, and we put together our own opinions of it. And so I'm gonna jump in here with we'll start off at the beginning. I'm gonna do them in chronological order. I did edit this. I edited this and put my opinions in it. Go and watch the full unedited clip if you want. It is horribly boring. That is a boring group to hear talk. I'm certain that if you're in that type of law field that you want to it may be interesting to you. I didn't find it interesting except for that it was talking about Judge Fleischer, and I was interested in that. So here we go with that.
But with all those topics, I kind of want to talk about an old topic that we had been dealing with HCCLA prior to the administration change. So why don't you give us a lead in on that, Mark?
So cameras in the courtrooms are cool. The county has a system set up so that the courts can stream. But with great power comes great responsibility. And some judges misuse the responsibility that comes with the camera, and they get excited about having the cameras, and they get excited about having an audience, and they don't treat people with the dignity and respect that the law requires. We have these people, what we owe them, even though they're not necessarily personally deserving of it, but in exchange, they're supposed to treat us and our clients and everybody else with dignity and respect. And we had Judge Fleischer, who, with the cameras on him and with the attention that he was getting from people on YouTube and from people reposting his YouTube videos, was not treating people with the respect that he should have been. And so we're seeking to change his behavior, and it was an exciting thing, I think, for David Fleischer to have this sort of attention, to be popular.
All right, so of course I jump right in and get off the camera and hit mute. So this guy here thinks that Judge Fleischer is doing everything just for the camera, no other reason than just for the camera. Um, I don't believe that. Whenever I first started watching Judge Fleischer, I thought he was very animated, but I didn't feel that he was doing it for the camera. One, anytime you do things on camera a lot, within a day or two, you forget you're even on camera. There's plenty of times where I'm doing stuff and I feel that I'm not even on camera. And whenever I was trying to get more comfortable with doing the lives, I got used to the camera by having the camera on even when I wasn't doing a live because it's quick to just start ignoring that you're even on the camera. Nowadays, like today, I'm stuck in a hotel, and of course, I have a horrible camera, and so those types of things are irritating. But yeah, hey, if y'all don't want to watch, that's fine. There's plenty of other stuff on. But this guy here, I felt he had a personal agenda against Judge Fleischer. It felt political. He wasn't making a lot of sense. But it is what it is. The ones of us that watched this in January were able to get some comments through, and in a few minutes you'll get to hear a comment from a guy named Fred that I thought was quite interesting to hear. So let's jump on to the next clip and see where that goes. If I start to learn how to use my computer, that is. Let's go. There we
To
go.
where now you have courts on YouTube. And I mean, it seems like we move through that from point A to point B real fast.
Sure, sure. And of course, COVID did its role in moving the courts to the TVs and getting the cameras in there and getting the infrastructure built so that it's so easy for a court to broadcast its proceedings. And I think that transparency is good. I think it's good for people to be able to see what's going on in their courts. I don't think it's good for judges to play to the cameras.
And I think that's the point. I think that, I mean, I know I'm certainly in favor of the idea of, I wish more people did the old school court watching, came in and actually knew what they were talking about before they went to the Chronicles comment sections to tell us how we're, all hug-a-thug and everybody's getting loose, being let loose. But I think more information about how we do that is good, but you bring up the pandemic where I think that it really went widespread, at least in Harris County, on that, with more judges starting to air their dockets, to run their dockets and trials.
Right.
But they all seem to just kind of set the camera there and then just go.
Yes, and I think in a lot of courts, it's just a tool for communication with litigants who can't make it to court, and that's fine.
Yep. So when Kathy first started showing Judge Fleischer, Kathy with Court Vibes, introduced the world to Judge Fleischer because he was streaming on IBM. Judge Fleischer was very animated. He didn't have there wasn't hundreds or thousands of people watching. It was 3 people watching, 4 people watching, 0 people watching, and he was very animated because my opinion is he's talking to people on a level that they can understand him and they can hear. I have a problem with that at work because I talk to people the way that I understand things, not the way that they understand things. And I continue to see Judge Fleischer talk to them on their level. And these guys are almost asking that Judge Fleischer just kind of bow down to what they want, to what their standard is. And I get it. Lawyers are clicks just like everything else. But one of the things that was picked up on here is Victoria, our buddy Victoria, was one of the just toughest people in here to put in comments, and it was fun to watch her work. So we're gonna go to another one, see what that is.
Right. So you bring up Court TV. Court TV found that there was all this potentially free drama that they could then broadcast, and
You mean Court TV, the network?
Right.
the network,
Yes.
Court TV, right, found that there was all this free drama, right? They don't have to write the script because the drama sort of writes itself. Now you got to cut out 90% of the trial to have really the dramatic stuff, but that's a lot easier than actually writing it. And now with courts like Court 5 broadcasting their proceedings, people are watching and they're like, oh, look at the judge in his fancy monkey suit, and look how he's telling this defendant that he's going to spank him. Ooh, this.
All right, so did everybody hear this idiot say? Or hold on, I'll take it back. I'm going to be a nice guy. I'm not going to call him an idiot. Did anyone see this ass say that Judge Fleischer's wearing monkey suits? So I'm a redneck, live in the middle of Florida, and there is a large group of people that would pick on this guy right here for wearing a purple shirt. I'm not knocking him for a purple shirt. That's his style. That's how he wants to dress. My assumption is that Judge Fleischer is his own man and he dresses himself. My assumption is Judge Fleischer picks out the clothes he wears. That's my assumption. There's no reason to call it a monkey suit. He doesn't go in there in a monkey suit. Now, yeah, the Pac-Man suit is loud, but it was for, it's for an occasion. The Halloween suit, I call it the "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou" suit, but the Beetlejuice suit, yes, absolutely, that was loud, but it was also for an event. So I have a hard time whenever people try to attack ideas by going personal. It never really seems like it gets the point across, but that's what this guy seemed to be doing here, and I don't believe it's working for him, because if it was working for him, it'd get him somewhere.
It's very exciting. And so they're finding, the people who don't even have the court TV money to produce the stuff, to edit the stuff, are finding this free source of drama. And most of what we do in court is boring. Most of what judges do in court is boring. And to feed that drama and to get more time on TV and get more love and get more, more hugs and strokes and whatever you get from social media, I think there's a great temptation for a judge to play it up for the camera, which is
Problematic.
problematic at best.
Well, as I was hearing that, I was thinking about whenever I went to their lawyers association. They do plenty on social media too. They do a lot. Their videos get 3 views, 5 views, 10 views. I'm assuming they watch their videos a few times. And is it because Judge Fleischer's videos got a lot of views that Judge Fleischer is a problem, or is it that their videos didn't get any views that's a problem? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if this is just a political attack. I don't. Yeah, I don't know these people, but it's certainly not great. Here's another one. There's a bunch of little clips here, so if y'all don't like the format, we'll do something different tomorrow.
So let's talk about some of that, because I talked to some people about this who have some more experience in his court about some of the things that you're talking about. What are some examples that you mentioned spanking a defendant? What are some examples of some things that are problematic that he's done or said?
So just best example. That's the best example I can think of, because generally I don't watch video.
What about the example? Something about a student in a baseball scholarship.
Okay, so there are 2 things that he did that identifiably hurt people. And I don't think he went off intending to hurt people, but because he was playing to the cameras, he hurt people. And I'm sure that there are many more. This is just the tip of the iceberg, but these are the 2 things that we know about. One is there was a guy in baseball who was a high school baseball player, was on the high school team, had a scholarship lined up to college, and because people were watching him on Judge Fleischer's TV, and because Judge Fleischer was playing to the camera, it came out that there was some drug use that came out.
Okay.
Which at least jeopardized his place on the high school team as well as his college scholarship. The other example that we know about is that Judge Fleischer disclosed on camera the existence of an expunged case. And I don't know how the expunged case came to the judge's attention, but expunged cases aren't supposed to be talked about. Right. Certainly aren't supposed to be talked about on camera. These were both lapses in judgment that perhaps a judge who wasn't trying to play the cameras wouldn't have fallen for, wouldn't have engaged.
I want to pause real quick because
A good place to pause, guy. Thank you. All right, so this guy here was talking about the young man went to Judge Fleischer's court who had a drug problem along with the other crime that got him to Judge Fleischer's court. And he's saying that he may mess up a scholarship because of people knowing about the drug problem. How about he may mess up a scholarship by being on drugs? One of the things that really gets me here is no one's asking anyone to take personal accountability for anything. I've seen Judge Fleischer be overly kind to people on drugs, but just demand that they get treatment, demand that they do something to help themselves. Now, of course, a defense lawyer is going to do everything to defend their client, but if someone's taking drugs, the fact that they're taking the drugs is what's holding them back. No, I'm not singling you out, Allie. That's for you, Allie.
Number one, you forgot to remind me, we do monitor our Facebook Live comments for questions. If you're trying to text me or Justin, we don't check our text messages, but we are looking at Facebook Live, and we have actually a pretty extraordinary amount of comments already.
Oh, really?
Which is unusual, and they're from some names I recognize, but some that I'm not. And so I kind of want to jump in because clearly there are some people that disagree with us or disagree with you. I tend to agree with you on this, that there needs to be some level of control.
They have a right to be wrong, Murray.
That's what you've been telling me for like 25 years now. Someone says, I have never seen a judge. Fred Green says, I have never seen a judge mistreat somebody just because a camera was on.
That judge or any judge?
He just says a judge.
Oh, okay.
Apparently there's some buffering
Well,
issues.
and is that what you're saying, that he's mistreating people because a camera's on?
So mistreating implies to me an intent to harm. I don't think he has an intent to harm. I think his heart's in the right place.
Okay.
I think that he, because the camera's on, is doing.
I'm gonna go ahead and pause it there. I didn't want to pause it there, but I am, because he says he feels his heart is in the right place. Where does that weigh in on it? When Judge Fleischer says, "I'm going to bend you over my knee and spank you with jail time," what makes you think that Judge Fleischer's heart isn't in the right place? What In what world would a judge say that just to get a click on YouTube for a channel he's not getting paid for? It makes no sense. I live in Florida. I support Judge Fleischer. That makes no difference for his election in Harris County. He's voted to represent the people of Harris County. So when he's talking to the 17-year-old football player and says, "Hey, I'm going to bend you over my knee and spank you with more punishments," he's trying to reach the guy, and he's right in front of the guy, so he's the one closest to him to actually be able to see what's going on in that guy's life, what's going on in his eyes. Even us watching from there, we can see when we watch from home or we watch from our basements or wherever they say we are. You can see people's moods and attitudes, but you know as well as I do, if you're in the same room with somebody, you can pick up their vibe, you can pick up what's going on with them. Just like there's times whenever you're in a courtroom and you can see someone sniffling and stuff, and Judge Fleischer calls them out, sends them for a drug test. They come back, wow, amazingly, they were on the exact drug that the sniffling is symptom does. And so I'm gonna go back to this before I lose time.
Things that wind up hurting people. And also, I think because the camera's on, he is treating people without the dignity and respect that he owes them. And he might say, well, it's tough love, right? Well, yeah, but he's not the guy to give them tough love because the rules say that he has to treat people again, and I'm going to repeat it again and again and again, with dignity and respect. And dignity and respect is not acting like he's their father who's threatening to spank them.
Right.
Dignity and respect is treating them like an adult. He's an adult, trying to have an adult communication with them. And if there's somebody who should be giving them the tough love, it's not him. That's not
Our
not
elected
his job.
officials aren't supposed to be
doling
out
just
mores, and that's an easy no.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I do want to get to some of these comments because I don't want to be accused of hiding any of them. Because some of them are supportive, but so we have Bill Henderson who says, "I feel Judge Fleischer has done more to humanize defendants than I have ever seen before. Judge Fleischer has made me reconsider long-held biases and see the challenges mental health issues can bring."
That's a great thing.
Yeah.
And
yeah, no doubt.
If people are confronting their biases, and I have seen compassion from the bench in Court 5 when Judge Fleischer's up there. Absolutely. I've seen some of the mocking things that you're talking about and some of the concerns that other people have expressed.
Well, and I think his heart is in the right place. And I think generally
he's not a bad
there's
person.
been resistance in the criminal defense bar to setting this straight because generally I think he treats defendants generally fairly.
All right, I'm too busy in the comments to even listen to the clips. These clips are short, so. But the guys right here are saying that they feel Judge Fleischer is treating people, treating people nice, and then critiquing every little thing he does. That was a fun night watching that stream. I was actually driving down the road, texted a little bit more than I should have, put a few too many comments in there, but it was an interesting night there.
But the job, the robe, you put on the robe, and he sometimes doesn't wear the robe, but the job, the bench is owed the dignity and respect. Whoever gets elected to that position owes it to the position and to the people before him to be more than just not to clown and not to use it for his personal social advantage.
Sure, it's an interesting thing you just said that stuck with me though, because I'm a very big fan of yours, and your knowledge of history is impressive to me. But is there anything to the fact that judges wear a relatively nondescript black robe, except for Judge Draper, who wears a navy robe, which is awesome? Is there something to that? And now that you say that, I haven't walked into court 5 and seen him in a robe, and there's several other judges wearing a robe either. But and some of what he does wear seems a little different than what he used to wear. But is there something to wearing a black robe that a judge is supposed to kind of put them out there as a neutral person and make what they're wearing and doing?
Self-evidently, right?
Right.
I mean, it's this uniform that's unadorned and church-like.
Right.
Right? You think of who wears robes and you think of churchmen.
And that's where he lost me there. That's where he lost me there when he's talking about church like. We're not gonna do that here.
Think of the choir, and it's not the choir doesn't wear the robes so that everybody stands out. The choir wears the robes so that everybody looks the same.
Blends
So all
in.
the judges are the same.
Right.
He's the judge, right? He wasn't elected to be popular. He was elected to call the balls and strikes fairly.
In that one court.
Yep. So it shows that, when they go through all that school and they have an opinion about it, even if you're an electrician, you have a strong pride and you have a strong belief of what an electrician should be. And then if somebody comes in and does it different, you want to critique and mock and nitpick everything they're doing. That's what I see here is just they're in the good old boy club and somebody's doing something different. They can't, their brain can't handle that.
In that one court.
Right.
So there's definitely some pretty strong supporters here, which I don't see the name. I don't recall the names before.
Well, and that's the thing with this is the reach of this is so far and wide. I mean, I have gotten family members from other states who have reached out and do you know this judge?
We've gotten some cast off of his fan club coming to Reasonable Doubt. So we should have done this a long time ago.
And that's fine.
But
that's
fine. So someone posed the question like, it was posed directly at you, but did you feel this way about the judge that you supported who was censured? And then they go on to clarify they're talking about Franklin Bynum. And I think that people need to know that anytime someone's running for office and they haven't before, we support them. I supported Kim Ogg when she ran the first time. I came to deeply regret that.
So I represented Judge Bynum in his trial in the Supreme Court courtroom.
Okay.
And that accusation was trumped up. Honestly, it was based on a lie, and the lie was told by the district attorney's office, and the lie, once it was told, was nearly impossible to stop. The worst of those accusations, however, against Judge Bynum was that he had not treated prosecutors with dignity and respect. And that was the one thing that I thought was I wouldn't say that I thought it had merit, but that was the thing that I thought was most dangerous.
Yeah.
The accusation
If proven.
and right, and I wasn't there at the time, so I don't know what happened, but if proven, I thought that was probably grounds for at least a reprimand. The thing, however, that the commission latched onto was not that. And if they had just said, look, these prosecutors in his court said that he treated them without dignity and respect, boom, 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 I wouldn't be able to gainsay it. I wasn't there at the time, and if you're a judge and you're treating people without that dignity and respect, I think that you need to be disciplined.
All right. Sarah, no, the judge is not fired. The judge has chosen to not stream right now. The judge is not streaming, so we're going to play some of the old stuff, but we're also going to talk about it. And with the judge not streaming, this brought its head up to me again this week, and I never was able to really do anything with it because one, I was a little too frustrated with it, but two, I was trying to just kind of wrap my head around it. In this, Evie made a point. This is the worst of academia. Absolutely. This is what happens when people get to sit around and talk about what they think a job should be, and then they get to criticize it. Anyone who's not playing by their rules. There's plenty of ways to get it done. Now, I would love to know if Judge Fleischer has made impact in the area. Judge Jackson has a TikTok channel, and she talks about a lot of that. It is good to know if they made some improvements there. See you later, Bodie. Thank you for stopping by. We appreciate it. All right, we're gonna go to the next one there.
I think it's worth pointing out that Judge Fleischer, prior to running, is somebody that it was pretty popular with all of us. We all liked him, and I know that it has been an issue that has frustrated you with HCCLA not perhaps wanting to go after him as aggressively as we might have, like a more disliked judge. Like when we had Robert Johnson on the bench, I think that if Robert Johnson had been doing what Judge Fleischer is doing, that we probably would have had like half the membership ready to put him on blast. But there's been some level of, and I'll admit to being part of this, to like, man, but it's Judge Fleischer, he's a great guy, and like some reluctance.
All right, I'm gonna pause there. So whenever the guy just says Judge Fleischer, he's a great guy, people need to take more stock in that. When you have a coworker or an employee or someone that you know and you're hearing trash about them or there's a problem with it, why not go to that person? Why set it up and try to go after him as a group? This guy here happens to know Judge Fleischer and he happens to like Judge Fleischer. He knows Judge Fleischer's character. So why join the crowd? Why give into the peer pressure to go after somebody on it? Secret of Judge Fleischer changed my life, and I honestly believe that I'd lost all faith in our judicial system. Well, critter, it is still kind of messed up. So, good luck with thinking it's fixed. Here we go back with him.
Based on how much I personally like him versus, if it was some judge that we already didn't like. And I know you've expressed frustration with that, and I think it's intellectually honest that you do. But the thing that, that if the allegations that have concerned me the most, and I have not witnessed this with my own eyes, but I've certainly heard it from people that are monitoring it, is that he developed a YouTube channel. So it's beyond just how he acts on the bench. There for a while, there were some issues over what was he doing with these clips later, because he had like his own YouTube channel, which I think is concerning. And then I heard that at some point he was interacting with viewers, with commenters during proceedings, and I don't know if that was proven or not.
Showed me messages of people who appear to be court staff having conversations during docket on like a chat forum with people who are not in the courtroom about the docket in the courtroom and the things that are going on in the video feeds. And I haven't.
Yeah, and see, the only time I remember anything like that is at the end of the docket. After the docket was over, after everybody was gone, Judge Fleischer saying hi to everybody, doing the same thing Judge Middleton does. Judge Middleton talks to the camera in the morning before court starts. And that's one of the greatest things I like about Judge Middleton is he will explain why and how that he does things, and he gives us a little bit of perspective from the judge's point of view. But a judge talking with someone is that now? No, there's not been any times that during the docket Judge Fleischer is text if he is, he's not with me. But I'm just saying, there's never been a time that I've seen Judge Fleischer interact with somebody or anyone in the court staff interact with somebody about stuff that's going on in court. That would be silly, and I don't know that I'd want to be a part of that. But I mentioned to somebody about it being slander, and I was corrected that it's not slander because they can, you can say whatever you want to say. It doesn't make it true, but that's all that freedom of speech stuff that people love. People love freedom of speech for themselves, but not for others. So let's finish this one up.
I've seen some of those messages. I haven't been part of those conversations, but I think that there's more. I think a lot of people's concerns are more than just cameras in the courtrooms.
All right, there's that. We got just a couple more of these little clips to go.
So he's shut down the YouTube channel.
Okay.
And still broadcasting from the courtroom, which is fine. That's transparency. There's a county channel in which is broadcasting. And I don't know that he had taken clips of his to produce in the YouTube channel, but I know that there were other people who were doing so and monetizing his content, which is, I'm a First Amendment lawyer, and that's constitutionally protected behavior, which brings us back to what he's doing to promote that, right? How he's behaving differently than other judges because he's on camera. And yeah, there was a chat on the YouTube channel, and he was participating in the chat. And I don't know that he was during trials, but at the beginning he'd say hello to people. And now that there's no YouTube channel, I think he's not doing that anymore.
Well, my understanding is this is an app. I don't know. I don't have the app. It's called like Discourse or
Discord, yeah.
Okay, it's a
And
social media.
right, and that was something we're getting. He definitely has a fan club over this. With like we have someone, and I don't recognize. I may be wrong, but I don't recognize these people as lawyers that are commenting in like, "Oh, you heard? Well, that's hearsay. He's a good judge. This didn't happen." These
It's all
these
hearsay.
comments are
I'm not saying
happening.
he's not a good judge, but
Yeah.
there are some concerns about some things that are going on in his courtroom, and that's all that people were trying to talk about.
No, no, the guy just says no one's saying he's not a good judge. Oh, hold on a second. I don't know how that did that. Not saying that he's not a good judge. Well, it seems to me like they're saying that. It seems like it's all backhanded. They said people were just saying people were just questioning things that are going on in his courtroom. No, no. When you say he's wearing monkey suits, that's not questioning things going on in his courtroom. That's questioning his character. So there you go.
And
There.
he could be a good judge and treat everybody before him with dignity and respect.
Absolutely.
And as a result, there wouldn't be these clips out there saying, "Oh, judge threatens to spank guy." I mean,
Right.
That's the worst of it, right?
Right.
That this is
Yep, absolutely. That is the worst of it. When YouTube watchers support creators who put out clickbait titles, they are contributing to the demise of transparent court proceedings because people just don't need that. And if I was a defendant in a court case, absolutely, I'd try to use that to get my case dismissed. And so when you support creators that do that, that's what you get. Um, I'm trying to think of creators that don't, and there's not that many of them out there. There's not really that many of them. I was going to say Kathy, but I don't understand Kathy's titles. Kathy's titles are as vague as mine. It's almost inside jokes on her titles, but I find that with mine as well. So, all right, let's go.
best evidence that he's not treating people with dignity and respect is the way that the people who are feeding his fans are promoting the material.
Well, and I think about that because like I remember when Shauna Reagan was on the bench, and yeah, when Shauna Reagan was on the bench, she had a tendency to always end up doing the right thing. Like I had her doing things that I didn't think other judges would do, like give someone a second chance at probation when they had screwed up. But she was so brutally rude to some of the people that came before her that it just overshadowed what was the point, which is at the end of the day, the judge is there to call balls and strikes and get to the sentence. And it's this extra stuff that is demeaning the dignity of the court and causing the problems that concern us.
Yeah, and it's good TV. There's no doubt about it. I mean, that's why people watch, right? That's why you watch.
Yeah, I mean,
but that's not. I'm sorry, it's not the way a judge should behave.
And he got retweeted by Senator Cory Booker, a very prominent United States senator, and I mean it just kind of exploded after that.
I think it had exploded pretty
it
well
was already,
before then.
Yeah. And and in fairness, before all this exploded, when I first realized that he was broadcasting it all, because I saw it on TikTok, because I'm 12, and I had seen him pop up on TikTok, and I had texted him, and I was like, "Did you know you're on TikTok?" And at least his response to me, and this probably would have been middle of last year, his response to me at that time indicated that he was not aware, that he had maybe heard that like somebody had rebroadcast something that he had done. And so at that time I asked him to come on the show, and he was a little bit reluctant to come on the show. And he said because a lot of what he had received was hate mail for some of the things that he had said. Now that was August, July, like we said, it all runs in together. Now,
All right, I'm getting distracted there. Payne Blunt saying he's been on YouTube since 2020. I don't know who you're saying has been on YouTube since 2020. Certainly not Judge Slicer, certainly not me. So I don't know where you were going there with it, Jennifer. Um, I put this up because I wanted to show what stuff like Judge, trying to think of the best way to word it. I'm putting this up to show you what Judge Fleischer is up against. Not only is he up against the stupid clickbait titles, the stupid exaggerated content that people are putting out, he's also up against his, I'd say his peers. So he's up against the other lawyers and the other people that work in the court system. You can have a lot of support, but it just takes a little bit of detractors. It just takes a little bit of jealousy. It just takes a little bit of people with a different agenda to derail things. And Judge Fleischer, I had an opportunity to talk with him, is doing the best to serve his community. He's doing the best to serve the people that he was elected to serve. And I really believe that Judge Fleischer is making the best decision. If he chooses to stream in the future, awesome. I'll support it every which way I can. If he doesn't want to stream in the future, I, I don't support that. I think all judges should be streaming. I don't think judges should have a choice. I think all courts should be public. And when you have somebody who is physically disabled and can't go to court, they still deserve the same access to the court. We talk about Americans with Disabilities Act, and we talk about making things accessible to people, and then we hide them. Living in Florida, we have the Florida Sunshine Act, which is, it references sunshine about putting everything in sunlight and letting everybody hear everything. And Florida courts are some of the hardest ones I have to get access to. So we all have our place to do it, but Judge Fleischer does a damn good job of putting his court out there. He did great, and he taught us a whole lot about court stuff. I don't think he taught us everything about it, but I don't know anybody who only watches Judge Fleischer. A lot of us watch the Judge Middletons, Judge Simpsons, Judge Hayward in Georgia. We watch a lot of different judges, and we see different things. We we all put together our own opinions. I've made some good arguments with people about Judge Fleischer. I've made some good arguments with people about the court system in general. I'm very jaded about the court system. I think it's completely broken. I don't think Judge Fleischer is the problem. I think Judge Fleischer is trying to wade in the waters that he has to wade in. I think he's trying to work with what he has to work with. But it's all a disaster. It's all a disaster. I don't know a better system though. I'm proud to be American, proud to be here, but I certainly don't know a better system. All right. You guys, thank you so much for coming out. I'm going to go ahead and cut it out for the night. Tomorrow's Mother's Day. Make sure to get something for your mother. If not your mother, a mother. There's somebody you know that's a mother. I don't think anyone out here can say that they don't know a mother. Say thank you to them. They put up with a lot of garbage, and I was never a mother, never strong enough to be a mother, and I just don't think I have what it takes to be a mother. So you guys have a great night and happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there.